Right. Hello, everyone. Today I'm joined by Zachary Tinkle. He is a pro late model stock car driver with Tinkle Family Racing. He was the 2019 Vore's Welding CRA Late Model Sportsman champion, as well as the 2019 Anderson Speedway, and I hope I do not butcher this sponsor's name, McGunigill Engines Late Model Series champion. Did I get that name right, or did I butcher it completely?
It's close. So
All right.
yeah, McGonigal. Okay, it's McGonigal.
Oh,
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
all right. I want to make sure I send everyone to the right engine shop and not to some like weirdo that had a similar sounding name. So, I guess to jump into it, what first sparked your interest to get behind the wheel?
What first sparked my interest? Well, kind of the funny story was, I guess I've always my parents swear that I came out of the womb wanting to race because when I was a baby, I would always, when I was in the back of the car, I was always whenever we go on the highway, I would always rock in my pumpkin seat and trying to get my parents to race cars on the highway and stuff like that. So, I've just always had a passion for cars. My late grandfather also used to work on cars, and I think that too really sparked my interest and just kind of gave me the desire to race.
Mm-hmm.
And just led to where I am today. And then my great grandfather, Harry McQuinn, raced midgets and sprint cars, and he raced in the Indianapolis 500 a few times. And so he's, that also really, sparked my interest as well. And I think all that just made me really wanting to get racing. And, I started out in go-karting, went to, indoor karting, and that's led to where it is today.
Okay. So like I know for myself, I grew up. I love NASCAR, and we had a local dirt track near our house, and so I raced dirt bikes for a couple of years, but it kind of became a thing where I knew that I didn't want to pursue racing professionally. My parents, they didn't want to invest all of that into that. So for you, did you have that moment where you or your family, it went from, okay, this is a cool little thing we're doing as kids, to, wow, this is something that I want to try to make a career out of, and your parents going, we want to put what we can behind him to make this a career? Like, did you have a moment like that, or just from the beginning was it?
I think it's been, we formed TFR in 2014. That's kind of when we, after I started being successful in karting, because I won, my first year in karting, I won the championship in indoor karting. And then, my parents always knew that, I've had this dream to go race in NASCAR one day, and, we formed, TFR in 2014, and then we weren't originally going to go outdoor karting, but then we found the Mini Cup half-scale stock cars, and we went with that, and we did that for, we started out with that way, and it's kind of been just ever since, just pursuing the career.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of identity found in a driver's number. So I was wondering what drew you to the 53? Like, is there a reason or a purpose behind why you chose the 53 for your car?
I chose the 53. I think it was mainly because it was, for me, it was, I kind of was like, what is an uncommon number that you wouldn't associate with anyone else? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want a number that is truly unique to me. I don't want, I didn't want a common number like 3 or 24, because they're already associated with someone, much higher in a big league, or, like Dale Earnhardt. Everyone associates the number 3 with Dale Earnhardt, and 24 with Jeff Gordon, and, and the 48 with Jimmy Johnson. I didn't want, I want a number that is, not already associated with someone else that's going to be associated with me. So I wanted, a number that's unique to me, and, that's basically kind of the reason I chose it.
Yeah, I feel like when you're a kid, I remember when going back to racing dirt bikes, I was a huge Michael Waltrip fan, so I had to have 15 on everything that I did. Like if I was signing my name, I had to have a little 15. I drove dirt bikes, I had to have a 15. Then as I got older, I was like, well, if you're pursuing that, like you said, if you get in, if you got into the Cup Series, there's a good chance that no matter what you ever do, you would never eclipse what Gordon did in the 24 or Earnhardt did in number 3 or whatever.
Yes.
I feel like with the 53,
I don't, I don't think anyone can truly replicate what they've done, and that's why it's so legendary. It's because it's almost it's near impossible to replicate it, and I think no one's going to exactly replicate it. So I remember when I was 9, I went and sat through and I went through all the numbers at the time. I think it was like all the numbers in Cup Series and then like some Xfinity stuff like that. And I went through what's the least common number in the series, and like what are some of the least common numbers, and 53 was one of the least common ones, and that's why I chose. So,
right. So as I was telling you, I stumbled upon your page, and what stood out to me was how professional it felt. And within a few minutes, I felt like I was a part of the team. Like I felt like I'd been there for these races. I had supported you or whatever. What inspired you to have like so much engagement with the fans, or to have that effect, to make me, as someone who has never watched that series, never followed your career, and like I said, within 5 minutes, I'm like, man, I feel like I know so much about this guy. Like I can go buy me a T-shirt. I can even buy me a die cast of this guy.
Yeah, it's I'm very humbled that you said that, because we've always tried to get that feeling. We always want to have a good connection with the fans, and that's unfortunately, I feel like not enough people value the fans nowadays. I think that's a big reason why I think NASCAR has kind of made a downturn, because I think some people have, I won't say any names, but I feel like some people have just lost that connection with the fans. And I've always wanted to make sure, whenever I can, I want to go sign autographs for the fans, or do something like that at the racetrack and make them feel involved. And we do goodie bags at the track, free hero cards to buy, and we're new for this year. We went and bought a T-shirt cannon. So this year, so we're going to use that at a few races, and we've got a bunch of T-shirts that will launch, if permitted, we'll launch in the stand. So that's kind of the one thing, and I think it's that moment, especially like you think of it as like a kid, they're especially like someone who's much younger, that probably maybe the first time they go to a racetrack, and the first memories like that, they can, if you make a really good first impression, like you're nice to them, you say hi to them, you give them stuff, that kid's going to remember it, and they'll have that for years and years and years, and they're going to remember that, and I think that's a good way. We want to create young fans, and that's why we've done several children's books as well.
Yeah. So with those, so were you a writer before, or did you contribute to those, or how did those come about? Because I think those were the most interesting thing I found on your website, were these books about, I think one was like a pug that ends up racing in a race or whatever.
But like my mom's does write books herself, and my dad's written a book. So my mom has written children's books for many years through Left Paw Press. And it was just an opportunity for me to have my own book. And we created. When I started racing in, I think 2014, we had a really tough year in 2014, but we still we persevered and we still won Rookie of the Year that year. And that's kind of what the first book was about, was basically never giving up. And if you work hard and you never give up on your dream and you stick to it, and you stick to it no matter what, you can achieve the end goal.
Mm-hmm.
And go ahead.
Oh no, you can go ahead. I thought you were finished.
Oh, and the first story, it was basically about never give up and keep trying no matter what. And the Zachary Tinkle's mini cup decision was what it was, and also the courage to follow your dreams. And I think it was we thought, well, that would actually make a good inspiring story to kids. And then I think was 2015 or 16 when we wrote the book. I forget, but yeah, 2015. Yes, 2015 it was.
Okay. So, taking a break from the questions about the here and now, I wanted to throw out a fantasy question to you, and I was wondering, do you have like your dream team, either in Xfinity or in Cup Series or whatever? Do you have that team that deep down you're like, man, I would love to drive for that team one day? Or is it more of this dream of, man, I'd love to have my own team? Or
that's a very good question. I wish I could ask more questions like that more often, but it's probably the team I want to drive for right now the most is Joe Gibbs Racing, because we know someone on the team who's was a mechanic, and now he's I forget the job title, but he works on Kyle Busch's team. We've been in touch with him for several years, and we know a few other guys in the team. So for me, there's a personal connection there. The dream team, you've got to have chemistry, crew chief, and you've got to have a team where I can probably and have good chemistry, I guess, already, and a team I already have chemistry with already, and I think it would be probably the most natural fit if I'd say the current teams right now for me.
Yeah, I feel like they've done such a great job when it comes to the development and all. And it blows my mind sometimes, like, since I run my NASCAR paint scheme page, that I'll go and try to look for a paint scheme for that day, and I'll stumble upon it. It blows my mind how many people have stepped through Joe Gibbs or KBM and it being their first opportunity or their first big opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the thing, because they're always searching for new talent and trying to get new opportunity, and they're always trying to find the other thing is they're trying to always that I like is they're always trying to think of new things, and that's why they win, and that's why they keep winning. That they're always thinking of new ideas and how to get ahead and stay ahead.
So for my final question, this question is always asked, whenever you see an older driver, more experienced. But I think that also that your success and even being 17 years old, you've had such you've already had a career, which I feel like I guess a lot of people have nowadays because we're starting at 3 or 4 driving go-karts or whatever. But what kind of advice would you offer to someone having just recently gone through the whole process of, okay, I want to drive, and like we touched on, getting to that point of, okay, is this just a hobby that I'm growing out of, or is this something that I'm going to put everything into and try to succeed? Because when I look at your career, you have the success there, but also you have all that marketing. And I'll just there's so many drivers, even in the Cup Series and Truck Series. Like last night, I was comparing your website to a current driver's website, and I was just showing my wife how I was like, I can't get any merchandise off this website, or I have to struggle to find out about this. And this guy, he's won a championship and one of the top 3 series. Whereas Zachary's website, I have all the information there. I can buy my T-shirt and pull for him. What advice would you give to that 5 or 10 year old right now that's trying to make his way in it?
I would say it would be to give it your all. You've got to, if you want to make it work, you've got to give it all. Give it your all, and you will have to make some sacrifices, but in the end, it will be worth it. And I think that kind of goes to my second point of never give up. And always pursue your passion, because if you've got a passion for it, you really like it, you've got an extreme passion for it, then you should pursue it. And you realize you have to do the fun, have to have fun racing, but also probably do things like fitness. That's very important nowadays, especially as you go up through the ranks. Fitness is important, especially for the longer races where endurance is very much a factor.
All right, I really enjoyed that advice. I really enjoyed talking with you today. If you'd like to tell the fans where they can find you, or if you'd like to plug any of your sponsors, I'll give you the floor now.
All right. You can, on my website, it's ZacharyTinkle.com, and I have my Facebook fan page at Zachary Tinkle on Instagram and Twitter, so that's all. Yeah, that's all my pages that I have for now. So, I really appreciate. I want to thank you for letting me come on the show, and I really appreciate letting me come on the show and talking to you.
Well, I really appreciate it. I had Chad Fincham last week. I was interviewing him, and I was just telling him about how growing up, me and my dad used to visit the race shops, and I loved Hendrick. I loved the larger race shops, but really the ones that I fell the most in love with were the smaller teams, because there are teams where I would show up, and it got to the point where they would go get me a what do you call that? I forget it, but they would give me a sheet and be like, "Oh, are you here for a job or whatever?" And I'd be like, "No, I'm not here for a job. I'm just a fan of your team." And it just blew their mind. They're like, "You follow our team?" And I'm like, "Yeah," because there's just so much story. And when I look at your career, it's cool to see what has happened so far, but also just to think, man, 10 to 20 years from now, where could you be in your career? So I'm definitely interested to follow it, and I think it's really cool getting to follow someone's story, being at the point you are in your career.
Yeah, thank you very much. But it still, I guess, kind of amazes me that when someone comes up and they ask for my autograph and stuff like that, and
Mm-hmm.
it still amazes me. I guess I haven't. I guess maybe after a while, I guess I'm getting a bit more used to it. But it still amazes me that you've got all these. I've had a few kids come up to me and say they look up to me. And, it's very sorry if I get emotional here, but this is it's very humbling, and it's something that it's trying to find the words for it, but it's very humbling, and it's just an amazing feeling.
All right, well, thank you so much, and stay safe in all of this.
Thank you very much.